Welcome to our second information video for Flipping the Classroom. This information video belongs to paragraph 5.2. This paragraph is about the arrival of the factory. The question you should try to answer after watching this video is, what invention made the transition from home industry to factory work happen? In the previous video, we learned about an important invention from Jethro Tull, the seed drill. This made working on land increasingly efficient. With the same soil and seeds, you could produce 8 times more food. But with this machine, you still had to use muscle power, so you had to push the machine yourself. This will change in the course of period 8, so no more muscle power. With this chapter, we are talking about period 8, which is about citizens and steam engines. This period is characterized by a rapid amount of new inventions that always made human work easier by using machines. In this video, we are going to look at the development of new inventions, in which human work is increasingly being replaced by machines, and ultimately large factories were created that turned the entire society in Europe upside down. If you look at the means of existence in history, we make a distinction between 3 ways of how people take care of their food and income. So actually 3 types of professions in history. First is agriculture, so everyone is a farmer. Up to the 19th century, this was by far the largest profession, so most people worked in agriculture as a farmer. The second means of existence are the crafts. That means that a person makes a product himself through work. Think of a carpenter, the blacksmith, or the potter, as you can see on these pictures. We also call this home industry or industry. This first came about in the big cities, where enough food was available and people began to specialize. In the 17th century, we saw, for example, that cities in the Netherlands also began to specialize in form of industry. For example, in Leiden, many people started working together to specialize in making fabrics and sheets. And in the city of Hoorn, for example, people started specializing in the building of ships. The third type of livelihood is trade, where merchants and traders began to specialize in buying the products of the other 2 groups, farmers and craftsmen, and selling them to the people who wanted the products. The picture shows that this mainly happened in the cities on market squares or marketplaces, so that everything was close together. This means that farmers and craftsmen and tradesmen would all meet at these marketplaces. The farmers and craftsmen would sell their products here, and the tradesmen would buy their products and resell these with a profit. Let's go back to the first and second means of existence, agriculture and craftsmanship. In the period we are talking about right now, period 8, the way these people were making their products is going to change completely. This is due to a number of important inventions. In the first place, from the 17th century onwards, many farmers became involved in craftsmanship as well as farming. The reason for this was that farmers were able to produce more and more food with less and less labor. For example, through the invention of Jethro Tull with the seed drill, remember, this machine helped to increase production by 8 times. The farmers therefore produced more food in less time. This left them with time to earn more money with a different form of work. They started working in the home industry. Home industry means that farmers started processing raw materials at home to sell them to a craftsman, who had them processed further in the city. The tasks within the family were often well divided. If the land was cultivated, commercial agricultural products such as cheese and butter could be made. So after they worked on the land, they would work on the home industry and create other products to earn more money. Another form of domestic industry or home industry is the processing of wool and cotton to make clothing from fabrics, also known as textiles. You need yarn, as you can see on the picture on the right below. You get this, for example, by spinning wool or cotton on a spinning wheel. This is called the cotton industry. On the left you see a spinning wheel on which yarn is spun. Via the spinning wheel you could therefore make threads from cotton or wool with which you can weave textiles. The farmers who were involved in the domestic industry were therefore busy spinning threads and then weaving them into textiles. These were then sold to a craftsman who had clothes made of it in the city. So the farmers would produce the yarn and would make the textiles, so the product you make clothes out of, and then they would sell it to a craftsman, and the craftsman would make the clothes in the city. In 1733, John Kay invented the flying shuttle. This is not like a flying sorcerer, so it's not an alien ship. This is actually a loom with which you can weave the threads together faster. The end result is a piece of fabric, textile, with which clothing could be made. The invention of the shuttle allowed you to weave much faster. However, you needed a lot more spinning threads than before. So the problem was that spinning the yarn on a spinning wheel took way too long. So because of this new invention, they needed more yarn. So they tried to invent something to do this faster. So in 1764, there was a competition launched in England to speed up the yarn spinning process. James Hargreaves invented a machine that he called the spinning jenny. You can see that this machine only needed to be operated by one person. On a spinning wheel, you could only spin one or at most a few threads at the same time. With this machine, you could spin as many as 16 threads at the same time. The news of this invention was spreading at lightning speed, and although the inventor kept the design a secret, so that only he would benefit greatly, it was easy to copy the design, and the machine was widely used. The invention of the flying shuttle and the spinning jenny ensured that the farmers could still work in the home industry, but much faster now. As a result, farmers' living and working patterns did not change much, so they worked on the land and then they worked on the home industry. That changed, however, because people in England now had a taste for these inventions, which were constantly developing work in agriculture and the home industry. A new invention by Richard Arkwright was a spinning machine that was powered by a water wheel. The fastest running water was needed to drive the water frame. So in Dutch we call this een waterrad. This caused the industry to move from the farmer's home to factories that stood alongside a river. To earn back the investment in a water wheel, the entrepreneurs built a large building alongside the river, in which they had not one, but dozens of water frames installed. These were the first factories. Some were 6 stories high, full of machines. For that time, it was really unheard of. One spinner behind a water frame could process as much cotton in 1 hour as 200 women with a spinning wheel. Creating energy with water is called hydropower. Hydropower did have some disadvantages. You needed a place next to a fast-flowing river, and of course the best places were quickly taken. In addition, the factory was dependent on nature. If the river flowed less quickly in times of drought, the machine could not work, and the factory had to close temporarily. The production stopped completely, which is why the entrepreneurs started looking for a new solution to this problem. The invention of the steam engine and the improvements by James Watt ensured that large machines could be driven by steam. Steam engines could be built anywhere and were not dependent on nature, so they could work all year round. The following video shows how the steam engine worked in large factories and how it turned society upside down.